welcome back to the Hot Diggity Dog Read to Your Dog at Home series. And Dory is standing by, ears perked up, ready to hear the third chapter of the Adventures of Humboldt. So hop on board. Chapter 3. Oh, by the way, Humboldt is here. He's listening and he's saying hello to all his listeners at home. Chapter 3. Mrs. Gimmidge is talking to Humboldt in the sweet shop. Over here I keep the peanut brittle, tins of almond paste, marzipan, rabbits and turtles, hazelnut crunch and sesame bars. Here are green and red pistachios, which I make into pistachio ice cream in my grandmother's wooden churn. I've quite a reputation for my pistachio ice cream. There's a veterinarian who comes all the way from Chester every summer and brings home gallons of it. Does he just eat vegetables? Humboldt had some friends from the riverbank, mostly rabbits and squirrels who were veterinarians. No, he eats meat as well. But you just said he was a veterinarian. Conversations with Mrs. Gimmidge seemed to require so much explaining. Mrs. Gimmidge tweaked Humboldt's cheeks. Oh, you're getting all muddled again. A veterinarian is a doctor for animals like Dr. Dolittle. You're thinking of vegetarians, people who eat only vegetables and eggs and cheese sometimes. I'm a vegetarian, although I do like my chocolate toadies. Humboldt found this worrisome. He wondered if life with Mrs. Gimmidge meant he would have to give up worms. Then again, he thought perhaps he could be a vegetarian who ate worms on special occasions. On rainy days, for instance, when there were so many worms about that they just got trodden anyway. He must ask about that another time. Dr. Dolittle, was he called that because he did little? Humboldt laughed. He thought he'd made quite a good joke, but Mrs. Gimmidge looked serious. Oh no, I'll have to read you the story of Dr. Dolittle sometimes. He was an exceptional veterinarian. He could talk to animals. So what, thought Humboldt, so can I. Some of the stupidest trolls he knew could talk to animals. That didn't mean anything. But Humboldt kept quiet. He didn't want to offend Mrs. Gimmidge. She had a few things to learn herself, though, he thought. Shall we continue? Asked Mrs. Gimmidge. Humboldt nodded. On this shelf, Mrs. Gimmidge said, setting Humboldt down on the counter, are the rose and violet creams, coconut toasties, maple bars, lemon lime sours, toffee slabs, knickerbocker glory bars, and blackberry balls. Now, Humboldt, that's quite enough tasting. You'll get the collywobbles, and besides, I won't have anything left to sell. That's all I promise. Fair enough. I'll take your word for it. If she took his word, how would he talk? Humboldt loved to talk, although he was having quite a difficult time getting a word in with Mrs. Gimmidge. They moved over to a stack of tea tins. Here is my gumptious gunpowder tea. Have a whiff. Humboldt leaned back. Where do you keep the cannon? The cannon? For the gun. Humboldt cut himself off. His voice was low and urgent. He didn't want to set it off. Mrs. Gimmidge set the tea in front of Humboldt's nose. You mean this? Mrs. Gimmidge pointed to the word gunpowder. Humboldt froze and stared straight ahead. Oh, it won't explode. It's a tea from China. Lord above, I'm a pacifist. But Humboldt wasn't listening. He had clamped his paws over his ears and was backing toward the shop door. Now then, settle down. I say you had a whiz-bang day. You must be famished. I've got just the thing to fill your belly. Veggie soup and a doorstep for starters. A doorstep? A thick slice of bread. Mrs. Gimmidge looked down at the troll. My goodness, I realize I haven't the slightest idea of your name or where you're even from. It's Humboldt, formerly of the Albert Street Bridge. Humboldt was shouting. Oh my, I say, the Albert Street Bridge, how splendid. Mrs. Gimmidge toddled down the hall to a bright yellow kitchen where a large pot simmered on the stove. She set out 2 bowls of carrot barley broth, a hunk of pumpernickel bread, steamed beets, an aubergine with cheesy tomatoes spattered with basil leaves. She poured a tall glass of ginger beer for Humboldt. He took a few big gulps. The beer made his nose tickle and gave him a clean, sparkly feeling all over. Humboldt ate with gusto. In addition to the first course, he had double servings of runny lemon pudding for dessert. Running away from home certainly gave one an appetite. Even though the supper wasn't worms wrapped in watercress, it was very tasty. Mrs. Gimmidge folded her napkin and leaned forward. Well, Humboldt, now that you've landed here, what shall I do with you? Humboldt didn't know what to say. He had simply bolted from his home without any thought for his future, except to improve it, whatever that meant. Well, he started, what do you think of me so far? I say you're a likable chappie. Really? Is that what you really think? Would you like some company then? Humboldt asked quietly. He thought it was important to ask. Lord above, yes. Oh my, I'm a lucky budgie. Now that's settled. Let me show you to your room. Mrs. Gimmidge jumped up. Come on then, I'll race you upstairs. With 8 limbs flapping, the pair took the old wooden stairs 2 at a time, then down the hall to a room at the end. Mrs. Gimmidge arrived first. Humboldt's furry chest bounced with breathlessness. He absolutely must get back to his morning sit-ups and hill climbs, he told himself. No more shilly-shallying. End of chapter 3. Thanks for listening.